Coming up next on Race Spot TV, round number 2 of the UK&I Monday Night Skippies from Lime Rock Park, Connecticut. It's going to be very interesting. Join us in just a few moments after the break. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, race fans of all ages, we're here at Lime Rock Park, Connecticut for round number 2 of Monday Night Skippies here on Race Spot TV and iRacing Live. Rachel Whiteford and Connery Maddock bringing you all the action from what we could possibly imagine, Connery, is going to outshine the ESL finals. This is going to outshine the UFC. This is going to outshine Le Mans because we have a 60-car field on a racetrack that is only 1.5 miles in length and has 7 corners. This is going to be, to not beat around the bush, pure carnage.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely crazy. We basically have a Le Mans-sized field on a track that is only really meant for 20-25 car sprint races. So this is going to be very, very interesting indeed. And just having a look at the times as well, they're very, very close, as one would come to expect from such a short track with such a large field. Your whole top 20 are covered by 0.83 seconds.
They really are. This is really close. 57 point... No, I'm looking at the wrong part of the timetable. It's that long. 56.5 is pole time right now for Gavin Marsden, as our last few moments will roll past. Let's have a look at that. 56.5, 57.5. Oh, maybe that's 27th place. We have the top 27 cars, which is normally the field for most races, inside a second. Now, admittedly, on a track like this, that's not a dramatic thing because we have 7 corners and 1.5 miles of racetrack, but this place is not as simple as it looks, Connery. We have massive elevation changes, we have varying corner styles, a huge braking zone into turn 1, from full speed down into second gear. This is a very tough racetrack, and there is not a lot of room. We have 60 cars. The back of the field will start going by the time the leaders are halfway through the lap. This isn't going to end well, is it?
We'll just have to wait and see, but I will say that turn 1 probably isn't going to end well, but the rest of the race, I don't know about that one, but there'll be a lot of action to come.
Yes, certainly will. Look at the times right now. It's very close to the front. We got some superstars, though, tonight. Dominic Brennan is back in and back up at the top. Marsden on pole provisionally. Benny Simonson in 3rd. Stuart Adcock's back. The Povey is also back. As Hugo thinks I'm starting the grid, you know what? We might as well. It is Gavin Marsden on pole. Dominic Brennan in 2nd place. Benny Simonson in 3rd. Stuart Adcock 4th. Simon Povey in 5th. Clark Williams. Tom Ward. Tim Adcock. Keen Halliburton. Steve Hefford, your top 10. Yeah, that's just the top 10. This one is going to throw down tonight, Connery. We're heading to the grid now. We'll, of course, see the back of your grid somewhere up towards turn number 6, I think, at this rate. But there's some huge names at the front, and they are not going to back off. We expect serious fireworks.
Yeah, it seems like almost everyone has turned out old names and, of course, new ones. All very, very quick drivers inside of that top 10. It's going to be an absolutely crazy race up front. It's going to be a crazy race all throughout the field with how little space out here on this track there will be.
Oh, absolutely. And yes, to confirm, there are, in fact, 60 cars on the track for today, folks. Yeah, 60 cars hit Lime Rock Park. We're not kidding. This is going to be insane. And I don't think in my career as a commentator I've ever seen anything that's going to be quite as anticipated as this. And we'll see what happens when we get to the end of it. All I know is we're going to have to give Hugo Louise a cold compress and a mug of chamomile tea to recover from the camera work of this race, because he is going to be rushed off his backside, for want of a better word. Well, folks, we're about to go green flag racing here and then probably immediately red flag. So we'll, of course, see what will happen here. The back of your field, yep, they're halfway to turn number 6. That's how far back they are. As the rest of your drivers will take to the front of the grid for tonight's event. And we get ready for Skippygeddon 2017. The engines will start to rev now as the field get ready for what is anticipated to be quite the violent duel on this beautiful small circuit. One of the circuits we all start at here in iRacing, and for some people, well, their tempo will end here as green flag will fly, and into turn 1 we fly for the entire field of 60 Skip Barber race cars here. Round number 2, 25 laps to go, and they're already juggling for position at the front.
Yeah, pretty clean at the front so far, but back through the field, side-by-side racing all the way through these first 1, 2, and 3 turns. Surprisingly, no instance yet that I've spotted as they head their way through this first sector, coming into one of the only left-handers on this circuit. Actually, there is a car off the track. That was Paul Thurston, number 50 car, having a little bit of trouble, a little bit further contact behind as well between the 516 of Jonas van Verwerke. He tries to find himself around Paul Thurston, not having any of it. Big contact from behind, almost 3 wide coming down and up into the hill here. Jonas van Verwerke pushes all the way wide but manages to keep it on the road.
Just about, in fact, as Paul Thurston has to struggle to keep hold of his car there, as it's a big pod of cars getting through turn number 6 there, as they'll head down towards the bridge, and we have cars heading off down towards turn 7. Someone's gone flying off the racetrack. We'll come back to that one later as we get time. That was Stephen Wareham going off down there as we headed to turn 1 this time by. Kevin Marsden, Dominic Brennan, Benny Simonson, Stuart Adcock, your top 4. With Povey in the 5th spot. No real change at the sharp end here for you guys, but looking a bit further back, as you mentioned, this is getting really busy down here, Connery. In fact, it really starts to get bad down in the bottom end of your top 20s, and we're starting to see multiple cars running wide there. Patterson, Geoff Cox, I think it is, as well, down there getting involved in this one, as Daryl Taylor works his way through.
Yeah, exactly, and number 38 will have a chance coming down into this right-hand kink up the hill. A very, very tricky turn indeed, because if you carry too much speed, that wall on the outside is going to eat you up, but Geoff Cox does make that move stick on your series admin, Alan Patterson, as Daryl Taylor also has a look for an opportunity, and this is battling in the midfield in around about the 25, 26, 27th place as Patterson tries to make the move down the inside again.
Certainly is. We'll have a quick look back at Alan Patterson there as we're talking about him, and it is 2 wide, 2 deep, nearly 3 wide there. Daryl Taylor trying to find a way through on this group here. This is for 25th place, folks. This isn't even for the lead, as they do go 3 wide, and contact there for Patterson from, I believe, the 38 car there. Just made some light contacts. Geoff Cox even hitting Alan Patterson as they turned in 3 wide for turn number 1 through the 2 180-degree switchback corners here for turn 1, 2, 3 section of the racetrack. Doesn't feel that tight down there on the circuit, Connery, but that is a 180-degree set of switchbacks, as he is.
Yes, Stuart Adcock, number 52. Yeah, and that was just coming over the crest of the hill in the middle of the lap. Both himself and the car ahead of Benny Simpson got mega loose coming over the crest of the hill as the weight drops away. And Adcock, he goes off into the grass, actually has heavy contact with the tyre barrier. That's going to ruin the suspension on the right-hand side of that car, and that's going to mean that Adcock's day is done.
So he is out front. Marsden, Brennan, Simonson, Ward, Povey now your top 5 as they've cycled poor Mr. Adcock out of this mix. Bill Fraser making his way forwards. He's gained 2 spots so far. The wily Scotsman working on Tim Adcock right now. He's in 9th place, working on 8th. And a look at Kane Halliburton just ahead of this group as well. Andrew Leach keeping tags on this group, as is Hefford and Jake Tucker. In fact, Tucker's gotten past Hefford at this stage. Bill Fraser, though, one of the ones we can be keeping an eye on so far, is a lot of cars getting very loose out to the crest of turn 5 there, Connery. We just saw a big puff of tyre smoke from Tim Adcock as he tried to recover that one, running wide there. Bill Fraser just on the grass. Big run here by Andrew Leach as he takes advantage. Could be moving to one.
Yep, and yeah, the leaders are already hitting lap traffic as Tom Ward actually gets by that lap traffic. That's David Rogers on the inside there. That's a very dangerous position coming down into turn 1, but gets away with it, as that is not entirely surprising with the track so short and sub 1 minute lap times. Your leaders will come up on traffic because of the amount of incidents that have been going on and the sheer amount of cars on track.
Oh, it certainly is, and we've got a lot of old faces in this race for sure. Andy Baker from the Radicals is down in the 40th spot. Daniel Hunt from the UK&I Club also down in the 37th position. John Jarrett back on track as well. He's a face we've not seen here in a while. So that's always good to see some of the old names around here, Connery. But a lot of guys getting back on track and trying to keep going again. Stuart Adcock's back out, having suffered that setback. Trying to work on a few cars around him. They're on different lap positions, but you're right, our leaders now will be coming up on lap traffic. Gavin Marsden, in fact, the lap traffic's just ahead of him already. Lap 6025. No rest.
Absolutely no rest at all. As look at the he's got Marsden has another bit of lap traffic. Matthew Willett, number 15, ahead of him, but the top two have broken away a little bit. Gavin Marsden and Dominic Brennan have broken away from the likes of Benny Simmons and Tom Ward, Clark Williams and Simon Povey, which is in the secondary train of 4 cars right behind them, as the lap traffic does get well out of the way of your leaders. Are they going to get out of the way of the train of 4 behind them, though, by the time the hill comes? No, it's not going to be the case there, as Tom Ward follows Benny Simonson, very, very closely coming through up the hill, but no contact just yet, shall we say.
Not just yet either, but big run here by Bill Fraser on Tim Adcock. That's the 13 on the 21, running down towards turn 7. Fraser has a huge run and a tighter line through the apex. Definitely will have a chance to make a move here on the other Adcock, as he does make that move before the start-finish line. It's big racing up ahead with a pack involving Ward there and Simonson. We'll go look at them in a second. As inside, nice easy move there by Bill Fraser, moving up to the 8th position. We'll look at Tom Ward and co. They are racing very hard here up front. It's group of 4 with Simonson, Ward, Povey and Halliburton here, and also I believe Clark Williams in there too. All these guys getting very dicey along the front stretch. They've kind of allowed the leaders to pull away a bit here, Connery. As you mentioned earlier, Brennan and Marsden really opening that gap. Not been a while since we've seen Dominic Brennan here on the circuit. We'll take a look back at Thurston Cam, and he's gone off again. No, crash for multiple cars here. Paul Thurston, the 50 machine, and it was a sideways spill replay coming up for you by the 97 car, who looks to be driving a Spider-Man themed car, and well, turns out his spiderweb did not stick and he spun out. So the 97 there of Jason Perry lost grip, which is not really something you'd expect from a Spider, and he collects Paul Thurston. They go off the track, and well, Spider-Man doesn't do whatever a Skippy can.
I was just waiting for the buns to come once I saw those cars.
I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it. It's a Spider-Man themed car that lost grip. Come on.
Oh, well.
We're back live, of course.
We are back live. Battle
Tom
between
Ward
Benny
here on Benny
Simonson and
Simonson,
Tom Ward.
actually.
There we go.
Yes, there we go. We're both on the same page for once, as we talk about exactly the same moment as, Tom Ward here, getting a good run here on the car of Benny Simonson, and he's really started to reel this one in. There's lap traffic ahead of him, but it's looking like Benny Simmons is just a little bit unhooked at the moment, Connery. Not quite able to hold the same pressure. Ward's going to have a big run this time, but he gets boxed in behind the lap car. That really blunted his charge, and he's lost a huge amount of speed. Here comes Simon Povey, who's going to just completely fly past Tom Ward, who's got to be so angry right now at lap traffic, but, well, he kind of tracked out with no way to see that car there and narrowly avoided a huge impact.
Yeah, exactly, and this is where the drivers in this field that do multi-class racing will actually come into their own negotiating the traffic. You don't usually see this much traffic in a sprint race like this, and so those drivers will be definitely licking their lips at the opportunity to make some of their skills in multi-class work here in a sprint race. And Tom Ward, I don't think he races much multi-class, so he might have been caught out there by the caught out too much, shall we say, by the lap traffic.
Certainly could be. Tom Ward certainly has raced some multi-class, but not very recently from what I've seen. So he has been a little bit rusty. As all Simonson on the grass there, losing speed. Opportunity for Simon Povey, who hasn't been in this series in quite a while. Definitely an old sparring partner with of course, Simonson there and Ward. He knows how these two race. So, of course, looking at this move here, around the outside will go Povey. Looking to try and hold this one round the outside on Simonson. Not going to be able to do it, but he will hold his position over Tom Ward. Is that lap traffic up ahead? It is, I believe, lap traffic who gets off the track. And that's Chris Malcolm here as this four stay very close together. The gap about 2 seconds to your leaders, Marsden and Brennan right now, Connery. There's a second pack really trying to decide over third place, which is not normally where we expect to see these four drivers.
No, not at all. But can Simon Povey do what Tom Ward failed to do, and that is get past Benny Simmons? And he's very, very close to being able to do it, but he needs a good run out of the final corner to probably make an opportunity of it coming down into turn number 1. But don't count Tom Ward or Clark Williams or Halliburton out of this fight. They're all in this train, all have the opportunity to get that third place. As weaving down the straight is Benny Simpson and all of the others. Theirs goes to the outside line is Simon Povey. Tries to hang it around the air, and a little bit of contact, gets into a little bit of slide, but manages to keep the car on the track. A car off ahead. That was Paris Wenman that was off ahead there, but manages to stay off the track, not unsafely rejoin. As again a big power slide from Simon Povey. He's feeling the pressure from Tom Ward right now. Tom Ward trying to find a gap as another slide from Povey. Tom Ward has the opportunity coming into the right-hand kink, but no, he's just going to fall behind just a little bit right here, and a few scary moments with Simon Povey has really put him under threat.
Yeah, Povey really under pressure right now. He's losing his cool a little bit. We saw Robert Plumley go wide at turn 7 last time by. He's recovered without hitting the wall, but a scary moment for Plumbers as the guys up in this front pack will come down towards turn 7 onto lap number 12. It'll be as they cross the line. And right now, Tom Ward definitely in a position to attack Simon Povey. Benny Simmons has pulled a good gap actually on these two as the gap to your lead 2 really has opened up. But, Connery, once they get ahead of the next car in line, there is a pack of about 5 lap down cars that they'll be chasing. So this will be a big obstruction to these guys. This is in fact the likes of Nick Siggy, Neil Bontemps, Patterson, Brandon, Baker. There's 6 or 7 cars here, so this is going to be a huge impact, and there's going to be so many cars for these guys to get through. One of our favourites in the field, of course, Ashley Blake Hood, is here in the Wicked Squirt machine down in the 15th place. I hate his sponsors sometimes. He's running up in 15th. He's moved up from 21st so far in a very dense pack of traffic right now, behind Luke Redgrave, Nathan Davies, Steve Hefford. So he's in touring car company and might need to watch himself here.
Yes, he does, as the leaders do fast approach that train of lap traffic. There's ahead of them a couple of brake locking going on down in towards turn number 1, as Neil Bontemps just dropping off the back of the group before that we were talking about. Meanwhile, Simonson and Ward is still fighting, coming through turn 1 and 2. Simonson still holding that position from Tom Ward. Tom Ward did manage to get past Simon Povey during that little bit of a battle that they had coming down through there, as these guys are following each other absolutely nose to tail, coming through the left and right turns there.
Certainly is, of course, and this lead group really struggling to make some ground, but we could see them bunch back up again once we get to this big bunch of traffic, Connery. As we mentioned, Marsden and Brennan right now are catching this pack of 5 lap down cars, so it could really get bottled up here. This could be the trick that pulls the likes of Ward, Povey, Williams and Halliburton back into this fight. As we get a little bit further on in your race, though, we'll take a look back at what is happening with some of the cars we've seen so far in this event. Oh, Jonas van Verwerke has crashed on No Name Straight, which is what it's called actually, from turn 3 through to turn 5. We'll see what's happened for Van Verwerke. Replay up for you there as Van Verwerke just seemed to disappear for me, which is unfortunate. So he's had a bit of a moment. He's gone off the track. He's got some damage. He's on the grass there, crabbing heavily. So some big side damage for his suspension. Connery going to try and recover that to the pit road.
Yeah, apparently crashed with the number 43 car, and that was Seymour Harding, so that was what has happened there. Meanwhile, back towards the front of the field, Marsden is right on the back of this train of lap traffic right now. And you have to remember, blue flags in this series, and of course in the whole of iRacing, are actually just advisory. There isn't an order to move out of the way. So Marsden has to pick his line and just try and negotiate the traffic as cleanly as he can, as Brennan has a little bit of a run here, maybe able to challenge coming down into turn number 1, as there's 3 wide with the lap traffic ahead of them. This could be very, very spicy.
Oh, it does, and Patterson gets squeezed by the 2 cars around him, putting your leaders now in a very tricky position to follow these guys through this tight section of the front of the lap. Patterson doesn't quite move over to let them go through either, so Adam Patterson defending his position against the leader, which has definitely cost them some time. And look at the gap coming down now, plummeting down as they try and find a way past Patterson, who's in completely the wrong place, I think, at the moment. 3 cars still to deal with for this lead group, but the gap has absolutely diminished to Simonson and Ward and Povey here, Connery. This is exactly what we predicted. We're about to have an absolutely titanic battle for your lead once they can get up here, because the momentum has been killed. And now it's plenty of cars to draft on to get themselves a little bit faster and further forwards. And it's not going to be this lap before they catch this next trio.
Tom Ward around on the final corner.
Replay coming up for you, and Tom Ward gets rear-ended, I think, by Simon Povey. No. Yes, he does. No, Tom Ward had to slow down. We'll have a look back at the replay.
It was
because the lap car of Patterson slowed down Simonson. Simonson had to brake. Tom Ward had to brake. Poor old Povey had no idea what was going on. Taps the back of Ward's car. Everybody scatters. That was lap traffic at its possibly most awkward, Connery.
Yeah, but I think an instant like that was kind of inevitable due to the amount of cars that we have on track, and the difference between the fast drivers and the drivers that suffered damage, and the drivers at the back in qualifying. So it's definitely not something we didn't expect, but again, Tom Ward just wished it hadn't happened to him.
It's certainly not. Another lap car in the way of Simonson there, holding him up a little bit here, actually, as they try and get through in the final corner. Couldn't make the move, actually, and they're going to do it on the front stretch here, with lap cars also drafting off them here, which is definitely making things a little bit weird, because they're now 3 wide with 2 lap cars, as Povey tries to get through with Simonson and hold on to this group. I'm surprised by how hard the lap traffic is fighting and not really helping the situation. Of course, they aren't obliged to move, Connery, but it pays to work with the cars lapping you rather than to just carry on with your race when you aren't in one. But when they're in several races at once, it becomes a whole different ball game. And right now, Povey and Simonson in a heavy dogfight here. The gap has actually opened up to your leaders, Marsden and Brennan, after the crash. They are now 3 seconds ahead of Simonson, Halliburton and Povey, and that has changed the dynamic of this race somewhat heavily.
As it seems like that train of what was 4 cars have definitely slowed up more than your 2 race leaders at this point in time. And here comes Simon Povey, maybe with the run coming down to turn 1. You can see him just closing up defensive inside line for Benny Simmons, and having to force Povey again around the outside at turn number 1, which seems to be the correct defensive strategy here at Lime Rock Park. As there's going to be almost contact between Povey and Halliburton behind right there, but both guys managed to get away unscathed, and Clark Williams is still watching and waiting behind, just stalking these guys.
Certainly is, and Tom Ward is not down and out. He just got past Bill Fraser for the 8th spot and 7th spot there on the racetrack. Move him up another one there, and he will be on No Name Street now. Going to try and close in on Clark Williams, who is in fact about 6 seconds at the road, so an unlikely chance in the next.
Ooh, Marsden around.
Marsden problems. Oh, big crash for Marsden, your leader. What has happened? Oh, lap traffic once again a problem. Oh, I think it was from behind. We had a strike from Dominic Brennan, who taps the back of your leader, sits him sideways, and round he goes. Gavin Marsden with a big backing into the fence there and destroys his race car. That is terrible. Wow.
Yeah, and that little contact could have easily just bent the suspension on that rear left tire of Gavin Marsden's car, and then he just had nothing else to do. He just had to let the car spin back around. It's a good job keeping it off the track and not in the middle of traffic, though. And let's see where Benny Simonson is in relation to Dominic Brennan now. Benny Simonson has closed that gap up considerably, up to within a second at this point in time, and you have to wonder how much damage Dominic Brennan has as Simonson gets held up by a lap car. Barry West again coming up over the crest of the hill. Manages to get through in the corner afterwards, though. But that means that gap is just going to extend a little bit when it had been closed up previously.
You say that's a lap car. Well, it is. Oh, as a lap car goes off just ahead of Benny Simonson there. That lap car was in 30th place, which is halfway through our field. So we really are truly mixed in right now to a ridiculous extent as Benny Simonson comes flying up here towards your leader. And now, well, Simon Povey also looking at being within the shout of a victory here if they can catch Dominic Brennan, who's really seems to have lost time. Can Povey, Halliburton and Williams catch up to Benny Simonson here and make this a fight for your lead? Now we've had some serious change. Tom Ward has dropped down the order. So has now Marsden, of course, having dropped out after that incident. This one's really going to open up now, and I think we've got a real potential for a battle coming here, Connery, as we'll have a good look back at your field, see what's going on.
The other Adcock is out, number 21, Tim Adcock. So both of the, well, questionable relations. I don't want to say because I know we've got
Tim
wrong, but
oh my gosh. Replay coming up for you. This was just ahead of them, and I'm trying to work out who did this. We had contact with Tom Ward to the back of the 236. Which I believe was a lapped car. That's Martin Brandon. Ward taps the back of Brandon. Brandon then spins out, unfortunately. That does tap Bill Fraser. And Tim Hancock has nowhere to go. Big hit for him, and he ends up driving over a fence. So, lap traffic once again. A thing, but not necessarily the lap traffic's fault, as it was Tom Ward that drove into the back of that car.
Yeah, exactly, and that just means that both Adcocks are actually out of this race. The father and son relation, I believe, Rachel. Please correct me if I'm wrong here. There's further impact between Nick Sigley and what was the car of Andy Baker there, number 62. As we look towards the race lead, in fact, this is Dominic Brennan versus Benny Simonson at this moment in time, and Simonson is right there. You can see the race win within his sights now with only a few laps to go.
It certainly is. We have approximately 4 laps to go as we cross the line here at Lime Rock Park in Connecticut, and the race has completely changed. Dominic Brennan versus Benny Simonson here for the finale. Cian Halliburton, Simon Povey, Clark Williams just behind them right now, as Tom Ward doing his best to catch up. He's 4 seconds back. He's really eaten away at the time. He's lost a second that lap, but 2 seconds from your leaders. Our 3 cars who are also pretty hungry for this one. So Simonson and Brennan right now battling for the front, and Simonson will fight hard, but Halliburton, Povey and Williams also fighting behind them will cost them time too. Povey wants to get through, but Halliburton's willing to race him for it.
Yeah, Halliburton wants to try and catch those leading 2 cars at this moment in time, and he does misses the apex of the king coming up the hill. This gives an opportunity to Povey, which he's not going to take, and neither is Clark Williams. They're all just going to stack up before the right-hander, the penultimate corner of the lap here, as Simon Povey just steps out of line a little bit, looking for a gap coming into the final corner. Not going to get one, though, as the cars just take what is going to be going on to lap number 23 right now. Sorry, only a couple of laps to go. Challenge for the race lead, though. Here comes Simonson round the outside of turn 1. Not going to make it work, though.
No, he does not. He's stuck behind the Sunshine Rainbow Lollipop car, the Dominic Brennan, which is a fantastic livery, if I do say so myself. That's quite colourful in comparison to the Apex livery. Behind him, a very professional, sharp race car of Benny Simonson, and then suddenly you have lollipops on Dominic Brennan's machine. So that's quite the contrast. But right now, Benny Simonson's having to look at those lollipops and the sunshine and the rainbows, of course, because he's stuck behind him, can't find a way through so far, has tried. They're coming up on more lap traffic. Will they get them in time to make this an issue? Well, they certainly could. So we'll have to have a look what they can do to deal with that issue. And the gap, 2.8 seconds back, of course, to Halliburton, Povey and Williams, who are still in line. Defensive run here by Halliburton. Will it be going out to the middle line for Povey to try and take a look at him in turn number 1? The defensive line will work for Halliburton. He can't get round him. Oh, big spin for a lap down car. Spins right in front of that group, but doesn't impact their race as they'll continue here. Looking back at Simonson and Brennan. It's going to be a very tough fight down to the nails here. Lap 24 of 25 here, Connery. It'll be the last lap, this time across the stripe. In another 1 minute and about 20 seconds, we'll be done with this race. Who is going to win? It's blue versus blue. Will it be Sunshine? Or will it be Apex?
Well, it's not going to be Apex because Benny Simonson's actually spun into the wall.
Oh my gosh, Benny Simonson with a massive wreck. Coming through turn number 6, gets on the grass, goes sideways. Oh, he does. Yes. Simon Povey, nowhere to go, plows into Benny Simonson, and oh, Simon Povey destroyed in that accident with Benny Simonson. That has changed things dramatically. Kane Halliburton will be up to 2nd place here, and Clark Williams will race with him for it, but Williams gets a bit loose in the first corner. Got on to the final lap, cannot hold that position. Dominic Brennan, clean and clear air. It is all sunshine, rainbow and lollipops for him, as he's going to have no contenders here heading towards the final lap. Kane Halliburton, Clark Williams will be fighting for your 2nd and 3rd positions. It's looking like a podium for Clark Williams for the first time in many seasons here, Connery. This is huge for him, but will it be 2nd or 3rd? Brennan up ahead of them through turn 6. One more corner to go for him. He can afford to let back and just relax behind these lap cars. He doesn't need to fight with them. They'll come through onto the start finish straight, and Dominic Brennan, returning to the series, wins in his first outing in a long time. Behind them, Kane Halliburton will hold on to take 2nd place. Clark Williams back on the podium in 3rd. Well, Connery, that was absolutely a phenomenal race here for Monday Night Skippys. 26 minutes of fire here in Connecticut. Lime Rock has never been quite this exciting. We're going to wait for the last few cars to come across the line, but your thoughts here, and just to congratulate, by the way, Ashley Blake Hood not only finished a Monday Night Skippys race for the first time, but he also got a top 10 from 21st.
Oh yeah, definitely very well done for to him, and we still have cars coming across the line at this point in time. Just the battles just outside your top 20. 22nd is going to be Ben Summers coming across the line, so that's going to be last of the couple left to go to come across the line. But as you mentioned, what a crazy race. I didn't quite know where to look, so apologies if it seemed quite frantic in the box today. It was crazy.
Absolutely was. If you thought we sounded confused and rushed and panicked, we were. That entire race was basically a perfect storm of confusion, tyre smoke, and possibly methamphetamines. Because things were going very, very fast and I had no idea what was going on. But I digress. We'll go through the results before I start getting accused of drug charges. Coming home with the win for his first return to the series, Dominic Brennan. Sunshine, rainbows and lollipops all round. Kane Halliburton, podium for him, 2nd place. Clark Williams back on the podium in 3rd. Tom Ward and Jake Tucker ran at your top 5 with Andrew S. Leach, Robert Plumley, Benny Simonson, Ashley Blake Hood and Luke Redgrave, your top 10. Behind them is Steve Hefford, Bill Fraser, Cesario Rizzo, Gareth Dorning, Darryl Taylor, Brian Loynes, Matt Cox, Alice Stevens up in 18th, Daniel Hunt and Mark Day in 20th. Rest of those results on your screen, and Connery, I'm still catching my breath.
Yeah, I still am as well, and well, that was an absolutely crazy race. It was actually half a tenth of a second at the line between your P2 and P3 drivers, Kane Halliburton and Clark Williams. Clark Williams picking up a podium, and Tom Ward just missing out on that podium due to that incident involving the lap traffic coming through the final corner just a couple of laps from the end. But yeah, an absolutely insane race. 60 cars, 60 skip barbers around such a short track as Lime Rock Park. It's absolutely insane.
Certainly was, and without further ado, no break this time. We have people who came for their interviews on time this week. Kane Halliburton joining us here in the Racesport TV booth. The number 37 car came home today in 2nd place after what was, I mean, how do we describe this? Do we describe this as Daytona on 3 levels, or are we going for Le Mans in a teacup, Kane?
It was what I expected, to be honest. You know, the saying goes, to finish first you have to finish, and I just tried to avoid all the incidents, and it paid off, really.
To finish first, you must first finish, which at Lime Rock Park in Skippys is no small challenge. You had to avoid a number of huge problems, and lap traffic seemed to be a massive thing here, with this being such a narrow track. Did you think it was possible that you'd be on the podium today?
Yeah, because if the traffic affects me, then it affects everyone else. Just have to be careful, make your way through it. Hope it goes well.
It certainly did. Anybody you'd like to give a shout out to? Anybody you'd like to say thank you to?
Yeah, my parents watching this right now.
Well, fantastic for your parents to watch you come home today on the second step of the podium. A fantastic result from you. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this isn't your first podium in the series.
Yep. I got a win last season, but this is my second podium now.
Well, a fantastic result, first and second. Now you just need to get third, and you've got the whole set.
Yep. Looking like it's going to be a good season for me. Just need to stay out of trouble like I did today.
Certainly will do, of course, and fantastic result from you. Thank you very much, Kane Halliburton.
Thank you.
Thank you. And, well, we have Ashley Blake Hood joining us next. As Connery just mentions to me, plus 39 positions for Daniel Hunt. It wasn't quite as many for you, Ashley, but you did gain here in the region of 12 positions on the racetrack. And for the first time, I believe, you finished a race and also got a top 10. You must be actually ecstatic at this point.
I finished a race, I got a top 10, and my wheel didn't fall off my desk going through the jump. So
I remember that race.
It's Line Rock Park like I've never known it before. That was incredible. I've never been in a race like that in my life. That was amazing.
So, of course, you and Team Wicked Squirt Racing, of course, must be feeling absolutely fantastic after this one. You reminded me of that Daytona race, that Indianapolis race, actually, when I saw your sponsors on the car. Something you, me and Connery actually have in common there. But it was a very busy one today out on the track, and you made a lot of traffic work for you in this case. You made a lot of positions up, and as you mentioned, everything seemed to go right today. Is this one of those tracks where it literally goes right, or it's the apocalypse?
Kind of. I think, like, for the last year or so, I can't remember the last time I raced in this series, but the last year or so I've done nothing but endurance and consistency and doing lap after lap at the same pace, just doing so many laps I've lost count, and that paid off. Avoiding incidents, seeing what's coming, making sure I'm running a consistent line, all of that helped, as well as just being lucky with traffic and everything like that. I use traffic as picks on incidents and stuff like that, and yeah, it's hardcore out there, that race. I need to watch that back.
No, that's exactly the point there we were talking about during the race, is that endurance drivers will have a much bigger edge here, managing heavy traffic, and slower traffic, of course, to their advantage. So a huge thing for you, and obviously a fantastic result. Anybody like to give a shout out to?
I'd like to say sorry to Steve Hefford, because I punted him off in the second to last lap, and I never like doing that. Not these days anyway. I used to love it a year ago, but these days I really don't like it. I feel really bad for that, but just everyone in that race. I mean, there was some dodgy stuff going on, but for the most part it was clean and respectful from what I saw from where I was sat. And yeah, I sound like a bit of a kiss ass, but everybody in that race was just fantastic. It was brilliant.
Certainly was. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Ashley Blake Hood, who came today in 9th place, with a wheel still on his desk and a car still under him at the end. Thanks, Ashley.
Thank you.
Well, up next, we'll talk to... I'm trying to work out who finished ahead of who, but Barry West we'll talk to you first, because he came home one lap down in 28th place, but he started 52nd, so huge gains regardless for Barry. Busy race.
Yes, Rachel. I started 61st, I think, because I started from the pits, because I thought there's going to be chaos, and I should have...
There you go, pits to the mid-20s. That's definitely a fantastic result.
32 places, I think. Yeah, I'm pleased with that. I mean, 8 off the points, but yeah, I should have started on the grid, actually. I'd have probably done well. But yeah, brought the car home. I just had one little tap in the back. Yeah, I got faster during the race, actually, because I did a bit of practice today, so... yeah, I'm pleased with that. Just pity you couldn't bring any points home for the bananas. I feel sorry for Paul,
pity
though.
Indeed. Well, yes, Paul unfortunately fared slightly worse than you did this time out, but
yeah.
Anybody like to give it?
Sorry, Darryl did really well. The other banana, yeah, I think he finished 15th. I think 26, so he did a good race.
Yes, it did. Darryl Taylor came home today in 15th place. Before we let you go, Barry, anybody like to give a shout out to?
Ooh, I think everybody out. All right, no, no, I didn't. I don't think I caused any problems for anybody. So no apologies to make, which makes it change. Yeah, no, fine. Just congratulations to, is it Dominic who won? Yeah.
It was indeed Dominic Brennan.
Yeah. Looked
Well,
like
fantastic. Thanks for joining
at the
us.
front,
It certainly was. Thanks for joining us, Barry West, and we will come finally, but not least, to Paul Thurston, whose day was not quite so fantastic. it kind of went bad from the start, Paul. Lap 1, you were already limping.
Yeah, well, I qualified well. Qualified something like 13th, 14th. Seemed to have good pace here. Then I actually got a poor start, so I lost a couple of places there, which sadly put me within Nathan Davies' radar. He did his usual thing of just driving through, ignoring the fact that there were cars in front of him. So he knocked me off. That pushed me back down a load more places and put me back into the melee, sadly. The car was driving okay. I started to sort of catch people, pick them up. I then ended up in a good little battle with Jason, just like last week. And unfortunately, just like last week, Jason lost it on the corner and then came straight across the track and took me out. So I was back down in 50nth, where n is an integer, and fought my way back to 36th or something. It was a bit of fun. Driving back through past a few people. Tim Adcock, for some reason, on the last corner on the last lap, decided to crash into the pits. I'm not sure if it was deliberate or not, but that got me one extra place. You got to be thankful for small mercies, really, with my luck at the moment.
Certainly is, and well, unfortunately, it wasn't the day you wanted, but at the same time, you still managed to have some fun. Hopefully, out there on the racetrack, it was definitely very busy, but. You managed to survive just about.
Well, I'd rather have some fun actually racing people on the lead lap. Just once. Once would be nice. I might go back and actually count how many races that is consecutive that I've been taken out in, because it's really getting stupidly bizarre now. It is nothing I'm doing. I've looked at everything I'm doing. I'm fine. I'm driving clean lines. I'm quick. People are just rear-ending me or losing it just in front of me. It is sort of just bad luck. But what have I done? To whom? That's what gets me. I mean, you say Jason. I feel sorry for Jason actually, because I've done the same thing before to Stuart. I took out twice in 2 races, and it does feel awful when you do it. But it wasn't his fault. He just lost it in both cases, and it was out of control. Came back over the track. He can't stop it. But you feel awful about that, so don't worry about it, Jason. It's not you.
I couldn't call you Pinball Paul.
You could. I'd rather you didn't.
Well, this time we will end the show by calling him the Pinball Wizard, Paul Thurston himself, and
Pinball
Connery.
Banana.
There we go, the Pinball Banana. It doesn't quite have the same ring to it, but you know what? It'll do. There's plenty of slipping and sliding out there, so we'll end the show with that one as. Shush when I'm talking. Potassium. Anyway, Connery, final thoughts before we close the show for this week.
I need to take something to get my blood pressure down.
There it is. He needs to get something to take his blood pressure down, and I need to learn how to English again. Folks, it's been a fantastic one today. We've had an absolute whale of a time here at, I can't still decide whether it was the UFC, the ESL finals, or some other fight, because this was pure unadulterated racing here on Monday Night Skippys. Join us same time next week for more of the same. Good night.